What's going on, everybody? Shadowkin faction up and coming. Hope y'all are excited about it. I am, because for me, will be the first time that I'll be able to just go directly into a faction right off the top. So I'm pretty excited. So let's talk about teams. I think initially, one of the first teams I want to try is almost the first people that are here. Man, this is the first faction that I will be stacked out with Legos from the beginning, right? Because we've gotten so many good opportunities to get the Legos, right? I think we had Yoshi as a fusion, if I remember correctly. We had Ninja as a fusion. And I think we had Burangiri. Was he in a fusion? I can't remember if he was or not. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember, I forget stuff. There might be more than one that's in here for a fusion. So to highlight for me, first person who I've gotten kind of bet out. I think he's at least decently built out here. Would love to get him in more other sets for sure, but I'm just doing what I can with what I have on my account, right? But I am super proud of this roll right here, the triple roll, the attack ring right there, with the 5% chance to counter attack with hit. I think that's pretty huge. Crit damage, attack, a double attack, and speed. These could not be better banner pieces, so I had to show them off. At least to me, these are some fantastic banner pieces, right? I really like them. But either way, Ninja's one of the first ones who I think about that will be huge, especially for the boss faction portions. He has 45%. 40 percent? What's percent?
Nani?
Anyway, he has 45% chance of placing a 60% percent and percent. cut. Okay. He has a 45% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. And he fills his turn meter by 15% when used against bosses, which I think is pretty cool. Books up to 60%? So yeah. And it hits pretty hard too. Also here, especially for waves, but even better for bosses. Attack 3 times at random. Each hit has a 75% chance of placing HP burn and places a perfect veil on himself for 2 turns. When used against bosses, will instantly activate any HP burn debuffs, including HP burn debuffs placed by this skill. Man, so that's 3 hits automatically with HP burn, especially when booked out. Goes down to a 3-turn cooldown and goes down to a 2-turn cooldown because of this skill right here. Attacks all enemies, 75% chance. I hate it. 75% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn, booked up to 100% on a 4-turn cooldown. And when targeting a boss, will only attack the boss, not all enemies. Ignore 50% of the boss's defense.
I think we're done here.
Defense. It will decrease the cooldown of Hero skill by 1 turn. What is it about this today that I have a lack of speaking completely? Either way, huge. I'm going to put him in War Master. It's going to be awesome. I think for here, Genton will probably end up being my decreased defense champion here because of the 75% chance on a 3-turn cooldown, booked up to 100%, and fills his turn meter. So I think that's awesome. This right here increases the champion speed by 10 and resistance by 50 if the number of champions on this champion's team is equal to or lower to than the number of enemies on the enemy team. But it always works when fighting bosses. So we'll see how beneficial this is. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this works in, particularly on the boss, right? That's going to be probably huge on the boss, so I kind of like that. Also, this here attacks one enemy, will ignore unkillable buffs and shields. Fills this champion's turn meter by 30%. If the target has 50% HP or less after this attack, it's gonna fill his turn meter. I wonder. And then just even more, if you take out somebody, it decreases the cooldown of the of this skill and the second skill here, which is awesome, So I'm still definitely going to build him for accuracy. I said I just have some stuff on him now, but I'm going to definitely build him for accuracy, for a little bit of speed for sure, and build out the attack a little bit there, just so that I can get these things rolling on him. So he's going to be my decreased defense champion. Then we're talking about bringing in Yoshi, who, man, I really like Yoshi's kit, right? On the A1, the stun that he has, 40% chance, is still a clutch thing. I think that's really, really clutch. The A2 is okay. Attack 2 times at random, but it does do a decrease accuracy, debuff, and an HP burn for those two, which is really, really cool. Booked up to 100%. Actually ends up going to a 2-turn cooldown, which is interesting, which is very interesting and unique there. I really do wish that this was just AoE. This is a Lego champion. I really wish this was AoE. I really do, but it's not. And then this one places a 50% increased attack and 50% increased accuracy debuff on all allies, and a 50 booked up to 75% chance of the true fear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This skill right here is going to be really cool, especially giving us some control. I'm looking forward to this skill. And then each time an enemy receives a buff, fills his champion's turn meter. Looks really cool. 19% speed aura. Yeah, he looks pretty nuts to me. All right, then next, Genturo. Yes, it looks like I'm just talking about all the Legos, but my goodness, I don't see how I can't not use all the Legos. And of course, yes, I need a lot of books, but anyway, we're not talking about that. This one grants an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy, attacks one enemy, steals 100% of the target's turn meter, decreases the cooldown of Oni's rage by 1 turn if this target is immune to turn meter reduction effects, which is be the boss. And then this attacks one enemy, places a 60% decreased defense, 25% weaken for 2 turns. Will also attack 5 times instead on one of every 4 feats of the skill against the same target in 1 round. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful synergy. And all turn meter fill effects are increased by 50% when used on this champion. And then increase all ally attacks by 29% in all battles. Like, I don't know. Like, what's the reviews on this dude? Like, they look good, right? They look pretty solid. I think he's so cool. I can't wait to build him, especially as an attack champion. Look, he's already has the 80% accuracy on him, but just to get a little bit more, to get the increase and go from there, like, yeah. So for him, for sure, I'm definitely building out speed and attack, getting that crit rate and that crit damage in on him. Build him out for sure as a damage dealer. Lastly, this is where I'm a little bit confused on, right? Because I really don't have a protection agent on the team. So what comes to mind is pulling in Barangari.
NANI?
Maybe I say it Barangari. So he has like the provoke on the A1, which is kind of cool. Defensive base champion, has an AoE stun that's about 60%, booked down to a 3-turn cooldown. And this portion where he places a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns, and then also puts a shield on all allies with less than 50% HP. And the shield buff is equal to 15% of the target's max HP, which is okay. So it's kind of okay. And then heals the champion by 50% of their max HP whenever an ally or an enemy dies. So it's kind of okay, but I don't really look at him as kind of like a really, really good protection champ per se. Where somebody like Taragi, right? Goodness, let's just take a look at this kit. Attacks one enemy, 30% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack, which is really cool. 40% chance there. So, I mean, it's solid. Would love for it to be a little bit higher or a 2-hitter. Then this attacks all enemy, 50% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn, increases by 5% for each debuff on the enemy team. So that's enemy team. So if you get off and you start out with all the stacks of debuffs, let's say you got defense down across the team, that's 5 times 4, that's 20. So that's a 70% chance. So basically, if you stack another debuff or two, and then maybe you have the HP burn decrease accuracy on somebody else, then you're going to basically get this to 100%. That's going to be nuts. That's going to be nuts. It is a hit though, so there's a chance for it to hit weak, but still it's HP based. It's still a really, really good ability overall, especially for controlling the waves. And then this one here places a shield buff equal to 15% of this champion's max HP and a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Also heals this champion by 25% of their max HP and places a 30% reflect damage buff on them for 3 turns. The heal increases by 2.5 for each poison debuff on the enemy team. So if he's getting these provokes off, this goes down like to a 3-turn cooldown, right? On this one here. Like, he gets the provokes off and then you place this on him so that everybody's hitting him and everybody's getting protected. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then of course with the ally resist there. So I think he's really, really cool. But again, the only thing that I'm kind of left out here is like, who's going to be like my healer? Who's going to be my reviver? Whatever that's on the team. I don't have any of those. And that would be kind of the preference. But again, there's some other standout individuals in here, right? Gimbo, who is just hits like a truck, steals increased attacks, attacks all enemies, decreases the duration of all buffs by 1%, cannot be resisted on critical hits, meaning you can build him out. This also can't be resisted. And then here, the increased crit rate and crit damage on himself and grants himself an extra turn. Ugh. So you don't have to put any accuracy on him. And then increased immune to decreased attack. Will ignore unkillable buffs when attacking under an increased attack. 20% speed R. Like this is the definition of just like, mwah. Like he's so good.
Yes!
He's so good. So freaking good. So it's like, you know what? I might replace Genturo with Gimbo. Why? Because I will have the books to build out Gimbo for sure. Right? I'm gonna be good. Chonaru here with the block debuffs on the A1, which is block buffs. 50% chance. Wish it was a 2-hitter, but it's still a great ability, especially for A1. The 3 times at random, wish it was AoE. Not sure why it's random. And then you have remove all increased defense buffs from all enemies, then attacks all enemies. Decreases the cooldown of Lay by 1 turn for each enemy killed by the skill. So it's cool, but it's like, it feels like that there's a lot of prep work, especially to kind of take out everybody, unless you're using her at like the end of the wave. That's kind of like taking out stuff. So just kind of seems like that this is really good just for wave clearing, right? So it's okay, not really great. You have Finchy here with the 30% chance of placing the decreased speed, which is really, really good. Booked up to 40%. 3 chances to land that. So that I really like. I like that a lot. And then another 3-hitter here. 50% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%, booked up to 75%. Actually on a 2-turn cooldown. So that's also a little bit unique and interesting, I think. So it's okay, but it really brings some turn meter control. It's not guaranteed turn meter control, but it's a high chance of turn meter control. So that's actually really cool. And then here, attacks one enemy 2 times, places poisons debuffs on the target for 3 turns, and will ignore 10% of the target's defense for each poison debuff on the target. So this means that he'll hit, and especially if you have him rolling fast enough and decreasing the turn meter, you're just going to stack those poisons. You put on the, yeah, he's going to basically end up hitting really, really hard, especially for bosses. So that's why I think that he can come into play. You also have Jurogen. He has the 45% chance of placing the decreased attack, which is awesome. Booked up to 60%. Pretty nuts, pretty good. Again, wish it was a 2-hitter, but it's okay. We'll take that. We'll take that. Then he also places a shield buff on himself for 2 turns, equals to 25% of his max HP. Places a provoke. Yeah, he basically attacks enemy, puts on a provoke. If the target's max HP is equal to or lower than his champion's, the provoke cannot be resisted. So that's really, really cool. So if you stack him with HP, and then look at this giant shield he's going to put on himself. That's a 50% shield that he's putting on himself, and they can't resist the provoke. Sheesh. That's huge.
That's what she said.
Pretty cool. That's yeah. 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Yeah, that's pretty cool to me. Then take a look at this. Attack on enemy will ignore 25% of the target's defense. Will also ignore unkillable and block damage buffs. Sheesh. And receive 25% less damage from enemies' attacks when his HP drops to 50% or below. God dang. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Obero, who I have the decreased defense on the A1, which I think is cool. The debuff transfer. Also too, the stealing when she's under perfect veil. This here where it increases her crit rate damage and puts herself under perfect veil, which is awesome. And the revive on death. When they receive a veil or perfect veil. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You also got Sachi, you got Hatasku, you have Gory, Life Taker, the Conscript. And if we go in here and take a look at just kind of like the other champions or whatever, I don't want to really make this like a comprehensive look over every single champion in the Shadowkin faction, but I wanted to highlight at least the ones that I have. Again, there are some really amazing Legos. Lady Kimmy is going to be nuts. Noble, I mean, interesting, but not great, but probably will work well on wave clearing. Kyoku is just god tier. Literally god tier. Yeah, god tier. That's who I want. You have Gamarin, who is unique and pretty awesome. A great champion, I think. Riho, I mean, of course, just explains herself as just god tier also too. You have Chani, who I'm not too sure about there. I think it's poison. Yeah, a lot of really cool things there going on there. But overall, there's just a bunch of really, really cool people who are in the faction. So that's just kind of who I'm looking to probably start out with. We're probably looking at Ninja, Yoshi, Genzen, either Genturo or Gimbo. I think I'm going to go with Gimbo and probably Taragi. We'll start out with that. Would definitely love to put another healer on the team, but I feel like that's going to be at least a decent start for me. But let me know what you all choose. Make sure you drop all those things within the comments and go from there. Much love to you guys, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.